AITA for telling my parents they still don't have a biological grandchild? I have 3 adopted children, and my parents have so far been good grandparents to them. They've never mentioned to me or my husband, or to the kids, anything about having a problem that I adopted instead of having biological children. My brother and his wife have a 3-month-old son, who was conceived with a sperm donor. I know this because my brother's wife talked about it with me, but my parents were not aware. They treated my nephew the same as they treated my kids when they were babies, so I've never been concerned that my kids would be seen as lesser because they're adopted while my nephew was supposedly their biological grandchild. Which is why I was so surprised and confused that my parents have been talking about how excited they are to have their first Christmas with their biological grandchild, and that they did a big expensive holiday photo shoot with my brother, his wife, and his son, something they've never done with my kids. They were the ones who suggested it to my brother. It's not like it's just because he asked and I didn't. The weirdest part was that they casually mentioned some of the things they bought for my nephew for Christmas. As far as I can tell, they're spending more on him than they are for my 3 kids combined. And it's far more than what they spent even when my oldest was a baby. In fact, when my kids were little, they used to say there was no point buying expensive things for babies for Christmases or birthdays because they wouldn't remember it, and they'd rather spend the money when they're a little older. So my nephew is suddenly being favored over my kids. At the same time, my parents are starting to emphasize the fact that, as far as they know, my nephew is their biological grandchild. I pointed this out to them and said it bothers me. They denied treating them differently. They said I was being weird about money. I truly don't care about the money. I care about the difference in treatment and that my kids might notice how little they're getting from my parents compared to their cousin. And now for the part I'm starting to feel awful about. I told them the truth about my nephew. My parents are furious at my brother for not telling them and thanked me for telling the truth. They keep saying he tricked them and gave them false hope about having a biological grandchild, which I guess answers the question on whether biology actually mattered to them. My husband says I did the right thing because it removed all the lies and secrets, and if they didn't care it wouldn't matter, but if they did care they deserved to know. My brother says it wasn't my secret to tell and I jeopardized his son's relationship with our parents.